For my entire adult life, I was the successful, invisible daughter. The one my parents, Robert and Carol Rhodes, called only when they needed professional advice, a large, interest-free bridge loan for a vacation home, or someone to strategically fix their complex, often messy tax returns. I am Evelyn Evie Rhodes, 30 years old, and a vice president of investments at a prominent venture capital firm in New York City. My office on the 55th floor offers a commanding view of the financial district, a silent testament to the decades I'd traded sleep, personal connections, and joy for ambition. My professional life is a whirlwind of closing major deals, managing billions in tech assets, and flying coast to coast, a domain of ruthless efficiency. My personal life, however, was a constant, exhausting battle for basic familial acknowledgement, a fight I consistently lost. My younger sister, Serena Rhodes, 28, was the designated family priority, the fragile artist, the creative soul, the perpetually struggling freelance illustrator, who in reality spent most of her time relying on our parents for rent, utility bills, and emotional validation. Serena required constant, visible rescue. I required nothing, and therefore received silence. The dynamic was simple, corrosive, and deeply embedded. My high-achieving success was seen as an automatic shield against the world, negating any need for parental support, love, or even attention, while Serena's constant, self-inflicted financial and emotional fragility demanded endless, public intervention. They never once came to my graduation from Wharton, nor did they attend my ceremony when I made VP at the firm, claiming traffic was too unpredictable. Yet they drove 3 hours twice a month to help Serena hang a single, unsellable piece of abstract canvas in a third-rate coffee shop exhibit, and stayed overnight to soothe her performance anxiety. I was the gold standard they never had to look at. She was the broken pet they constantly had to cuddle. This year, my 30th birthday felt monumental. It wasn't just another year. It was a milestone of relentless, soul-crushing effort. I had secured a major promotion, the youngest VP in my firm's history, and a substantial 7-figure stake in our next fund. I wanted one night of genuine, adult, and importantly, public recognition. A moment to feel like a daughter, not just a successful associate. For months, I planned a small, sophisticated dinner for just 8 people. My parents, Serena, my closest friends, and my incredibly supportive, but often sidelined fiancé, Ethan, at Le Bernardin, the 3 Michelin-star seafood temple in Midtown. It was a calculated, deliberate statement of success and expectation. I have achieved something significant. This is a place of respect. Please just acknowledge me for this one night. The reservation was set for the evening of 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, September 14th, my actual birthday. 48 hours before the dinner, on Thursday afternoon, I was in a crucial, high-stakes negotiation with a client from Dubai, attempting to close a 9-figure infrastructure deal. My phone, silenced and tucked into my briefcase, buzzed incessantly, a series of frantic notifications from my mother, Carol. During a brief, tense recess where I stepped out for a bottle of water, I checked the string of urgent texts. Carol, Evie honey, can you call us back ASAP? It's really important. Urgent family matter. Carol, Evie, your father and I are so sorry. We're going to have to cancel the Le Bernardin dinner. Please. Carol, it's Serena. She's having an emergency emotional crisis. Something about her artistic identity, and a crushing debt from that gallery rental she can't pay. She needs us here. We're having an intimate family dinner tonight to support her. We're just devastated about your party. My blood ran cold, not from immediate, explosive anger, but from a profound, deep-seated systemic hurt. The world stopped spinning around my multi-million-dollar deal. My 30th birthday dinner, planned for months, involving intricate logistics, and costing several thousand non-refundable dollars, was casually wiped away, a minor scheduling conflict, for Serena's latest, entirely predictable, and likely self-inflicted, emotional crisis. I felt an absolute, crushing emptiness. I wasn't important enough to warrant a single night of inconvenience, not even for a milestone birthday. My triumph was immediately, brutally secondary to her tears. I texted back, my fingers moving with the precise, detached efficiency of a machine. Understood. Please cancel the reservation. I will handle the cancellation fees and notify the rest of the party. I didn't mention the fees were substantial, nor did I mention that Ethan and my friends were utterly bewildered by my parents' selfishness. I put my phone back in the bag, closed the deal 15 minutes later with a blank face, and spent the rest of the evening on a cold, sterile corporate jet back to New York. The victory felt hollow, tasteless. That night, alone in my spacious, silent apartment overlooking Central Park, the city lights glittering in cold indifference, I felt the years of neglect, the missed events, the deflected praise, the constant prioritizing of Serena, crystallize into a single, unbreakable decision. I had reached my limit. I was the ATM, the punching bag, the reliable ghost. I decided right then and there to fundamentally change my relationship with my family, initiating a hostile takeover of my own destiny. My immediate, preemptive strike plan was to get definitive proof of Serena's crisis. I drove over to my parents' house in Westchester early Friday morning, unannounced. The familiar family sedan was in the driveway. I used my old, forgotten key to let myself in, moving quietly through the foyer toward the kitchen. I didn't find a crisis. I found the three of them, Robert, Carol, and Serena, laughing heartily around the kitchen table, finishing a lavish brunch of artisanal pastries, imported figs, and expensive lattes. Serena was perfectly composed, holding a new silver-backed iPad and scrolling through Pinterest mood boards for a bohemian chic studio space. "Evie, what a surprise! You should have called," my mother chirped, her voice too loud, without a hint of shame or residual guilt, only mild annoyance. Serena looked instantly annoyed. "What are you doing here, Evie? Didn't you have a big deal to close? I thought you were working." I watched my parents glance nervously at each other, their eyes darting to the floor. They weren't panicking about Serena. They were panicking about being caught in their lazy, obvious lie. "I just wanted to check on Serena's crisis," I said, emphasizing the word with a low, dangerous tone. "She seems quite well adjusted for someone on the brink of an emotional collapse. I wanted to see if I needed to call my firm's doctors." Serena rolled her eyes, her confidence immediately returning. "Oh, Mom overreacted. I was just really stressed about this design competition and some client feedback. I just needed some quality, intimate time with my parents, you know? The kind of uninterrupted, focused time you never seem to need because you're always so busy with your money and your fancy friends." Twist 1. The fabricated crisis. She had confirmed it. The entire life-altering crisis was fabricated, a selfish, tactical maneuver to steal my moment and monopolize their attention on the one night I asked for it. My 30th birthday was a minor inconvenience she needed to eliminate from her narrative. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I simply smiled, a cold, analytical smile that didn't reach my eyes, and left. I didn't need a shouting match. I had all the data points I needed to initiate my M and a strategy: intent, motive, and betrayal. Back in the car, speeding back to the city, I executed phase 1 of my tactical revenge. I opened my personal secure drives. Over the past year, I had subtly monitored my parents' casual conversations, primarily related to their long-term financial goals, a professional habit. I knew they were obsessively trying to acquire one specific property, the Hawthorne Lodge. It was an old rustic country house in the Adirondacks, set on a sprawling 3-acre lakefront parcel, rich with local history. The house itself was beautiful but needed significant financial investment and time to renovate. It was also the place where I had experienced my single, only truly happy summer as a child, back when the family was isolated from the city and forced to interact without the crutch of their social network. That memory, of the stone fireplace, the smell of pine, the sound of the lake, was sacred. My parents, entirely unaware of its emotional value to me, had promised the Hawthorne Lodge to Serena as her future artistic haven, or retreat center, once they finally closed the long, complicated sale. It was to be her inheritance, subsidized and enabled by my invisible success. Twist 2. The house's true meaning and target. Crucially, I knew they were relying on a slow, 3-party mortgage contingency that was scheduled to close next Monday. They had put down a minimal deposit and were scrambling to finalize the remaining, convoluted financing through a regional, provincial bank that was demanding complex collateral. The deal was fragile, contingent, and slow. I made 3 surgical calls that afternoon, each one executed with the speed and precision of a military operation. The first was to my firm's top New York real estate attorney, Peter Vance. Peter, I need you to find the listing agent for the Hawthorne Lodge in Adirondack County. I need a full title search, and I need to know exactly how much the Rhodes family is scheduled to pay, down to the penny, and the minute their contingency expires. The second call was to my private banker, across the country in San Francisco. I need a certified bank check for the full purchase price plus a 20% premium, drawn immediately. I don't care about the taxes or the transfer fees. I want the cash available for an escrow wire today. This is an urgent, non-negotiable acquisition. The third call was to the listing agent, a local Adirondack broker. I am Evelyn Rhodes. I am prepared to close immediately, paying the full contract price plus a substantial cash bonus, 20%, for your prompt cooperation. Cash, no contingencies, no inspection, signing today. I need this property taken off the market before the end of business today. Call the sellers and tell them the deal they've been waiting for just walked in. By 5 p.m. Friday, the deal was done. My financial power, the very thing they had ignored, devalued, and taken for granted, was my ultimate weapon. I had executed a clean, hostile takeover. I bypassed their slow, complex financing and purchased the entire property outright, using liquid assets they couldn't even dream of accumulating. I signed the final documents electronically from the back of my town car, the entire process taking less time than the dinner they had canceled. The seller was delighted by the extra 20% premium and the speed. Saturday morning, my 30th birthday, dawned cold, clear, and utterly silent. Instead of dressing for Le Bernardin in a designer gown, I put on comfortable jeans, a thick cashmere sweater, and my best winter boots, drove 4 hours upstate, and met the listing agent at the Hawthorne Lodge. The house was magnificent, a rustic, sprawling structure built of dark wood and local stone, featuring a massive stone fireplace and a wide, wraparound porch overlooking the misty, serene lake. It smelled of old wood, pine needles, and cold, fresh water. It was a tangible, beautiful piece of my stolen childhood, now solely and unequivocally mine. I spent the afternoon unpacking a basket I had prepared, a magnum of high-end Veuve Clicquot La Grande Dame, a block of imported, pungent cheese, and a single, perfectly sliced baguette. I didn't need company. I had the lake, the silence, and the knowledge of my total victory. At 7 p.m., precisely 30 minutes before my canceled, elegant dinner reservation, I was sitting on the porch swing, the lake reflecting the dying light in shades of bruised purple and gold. The cold, heavy metal of the new house key was reassuring and final in my hand. I opened my phone and logged into Instagram, a platform my parents, and especially Serena, obsessively monitored for signs of social validation or, in Serena's case, artistic recognition. I took the perfect photo. The panoramic view of the lake, my elegant diamond watch, a gift to myself. The open bottle of champagne, and the key, prominently displayed on the rustic wooden railing. The lighting was perfect, the composition flawless. The caption was short, final, and strategically devastating. Twist 3. The public announcement. Evelyn Rhodes, cheers to 30. Instead of dinner, I decided to finally invest in property where I know I will always be the priority, and the sole occupant. Hello, the Hawthorne Lodge. Finally settling into my own haven. Hashtag 30 and thriving. Hashtag new chapter. Hashtag priority list. I hit post, watched the notifications start to flood in from confused friends, and then immediately, turned my phone off and tossed it onto the sofa inside. I opened the bottle of champagne, listening to the satisfying, expensive pop, and poured a glass for myself. The silence of the Adirondacks swallowed the sound. It was the best, most validating, most honest birthday celebration I had ever had. The chaos started 10 minutes later. My phone was vibrating off the hook, the screen flashing with ignored attempts. I knew the sequence with M and A like certainty. First, Serena, always stalking my profile, would see the post and recognize the house she had been promised. Second, she would scream hysterically at my parents, blaming them for their sluggish deal. Third, my parents would call their regional realtor, confirming the devastating news that their slow, contingent deal had been beaten by a simple, ruthless cash-in-hand offer. When I finally turned my phone on late that night, the voicemail box was completely full. The messages were a symphony of their self-centered desperation. The first was Serena, sobbing uncontrollably, her voice raw with entitled rage. "Evie, you psychotic BH. That was my studio. You can't do this. Tell them to give it back. Mommy and Daddy, tell her to give it back." The next was Carol, tearful and pleading. "Oh Evie, please honey. Your father is having chest pain. You know how hard we worked. It was going to be a family place, a legacy. You're destroying Serena's dream." The final message was Robert, his voice a sputtering mix of patriarchal rage and financial disbelief. "Evelyn, what in God's name have you done? Call me back right now. We put 5 years into negotiating that house. That was supposed to be Serena's inheritance. How could you betray us like this? That house was going to be for family." I deleted all the messages without listening to them fully. I finished my glass of champagne, the taste now crisp and metallic, the taste of victory. I was sitting in the very memory they had ignored, holding the key to the future they had tried to give away. They had used my birthday, a moment of profound personal significance, to reinforce the family hierarchy, choosing the illusion of Serena's crisis over the reality of my earned success and worth. They thought they could devalue my money and my effort while relying on it to fund their pet projects. My revenge was perfect because it was logical, proportional, and final. They wanted to give Serena a safe, magnificent haven. I simply used my superior financial leverage to acquire the most coveted asset and claimed it for myself. I didn't need to destroy their finances. I simply demonstrated, in the most painful way possible, that my financial power now utterly surpassed their control, and that I would now use it exclusively for my own happiness and healing. I had finally prioritized myself, and the only price they paid was the total, public loss of the only property they truly desired. The secondary tenant had just bought the entire building, and they were left standing outside with their useless, slow mortgage papers.